right, second video of the day. Peace and blessings to everyone. Love and light and ecstasy, abundance and bliss to those who are wishing the same for me, and the lessons of life to those who are sending me otherwise. Please stop. I don't want her to scratch you. Put that down. Thank you. So this video is another one that was requested by my sister friend, Living Organically, who I hope to meet in the next couple of weeks. She's supposed to be in Atlanta in June. So prayerfully we'll get to link up, sister. But she requested that I do a video on polygyny and polyandry. And not anything that I normally talk about, but I'll give you my thoughts on it. Nubia? Okay, okay, that's fine, baby. Come on. So, I think that when we're dealing with ways of life and ways of thought that are radically different from the ones that we have been socialized with, that we first have to remember that they exist and that they work within the context of a system, of a total and complete social system. They do not exist and they do not work in a vacuum. And you cannot implement them outside of the context of that complete social system and expect to get the same results. So that is the truth of polyandry and polygyny, which of course polygyny is having more than one wife, and polyandry is having more than one husband. So these are the systems that we are discussing, or these are the portions of ancient systems that we are discussing. The first thing that we have to look at when we're dealing with these systems is that the ancient perspective on love was vastly different than our perspective on love in this day and time. And when I say love, I mean love within the context of a love relationship, a male-female relationship. Their perspective on that was vastly different from ours. And we have a tendency, because we were socialized in Western society, and a big portion of the thought process in Western society is based on the belief in scarcity. This is because Western society evolved within the Ice Age, and in that place in the world where ice had taken over, the entire landscape. And so because of that, it has built into it this belief in scarcity, and that there is not enough, and that there is no abundance. And so this is why Western society creates systems like capitalism, and it views love in the way that it does, and all those things, because resources were scarce during that ice age. And so Western society tends to treat life as though resources are still that scarce. And so it treats love like that too. It treats love as something that is scarce and something that you're never going to get enough of. And so you have to hold on to every little bit that you get. That's how we look at everything when we're socialized from a Western perspective. That, of course, is not accurate. The truth about love is the more that you love, the more love you have to give. That is the truth about love. And so this is the perspective that any ancient people came from. Okay, you guys are either going to have to play with something different or go to your room, okay? Whisper and play quietly or go to your room. And did she bring that in here? Yeah. Okay, then you can't take the things from her that she brought in here. If you'd like to go and get something to play with, that's what you should do. But don't take what she brought. So that's the truth of love. That's the reality of love, A mother doesn't have an inability to love a second child or a third child, fourth child, or fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th child. As a matter of fact, the love that she's given those first children assists her in loving the successive children better and more completely, because she can see where she didn't give enough love to the ones that she had before. So that's just the truth of love. The more that you give, the more that you're going to get. That's actually the truth of life. That's the truth of the universe, When you plant a seed, the more seeds that you plant, the more fruit is going to be born. And the more that you put into Earth Mother, the more that she gives back to you. The more that you put out into the universe, the more that it gives back to you. So that's the truth of love. So these systems are based on that particular understanding of love. The more love that I give, the more I have to give. And no one should be left out. Everyone should be able to receive a stable, nurturing love that they know is always going to be there for them. And this is when the ancestral mothers created marriage. This was the idea that was behind it, a stable, nurturing love after you had outgrown getting that type of love from that very small childlike place. When you were ready to move on and evolve and begin to get it from the larger society, you still needed it to be just as stable and just as secure. You still didn't want to be wondering if it was going to be there tomorrow when you needed it. And so we created the institution of marriage. This was created by the ancestral mothers. It's created by women, so that when we needed that stability and that affection and to know that we were going to have it all the time for the rest of our lives, we could know that it would be there. And it has a societal stamp on it and a societal acceptance that says, yes, you are with this person, and this is the person that you are expected to uplift and hold and nurture for the rest of your life. And that was the original reason that we created that institution. And so the outgrowth of that is that from time to time, there would be other members in the community that would see this love and caring that these two people were giving each other. And these two people would want to bring that person into their love, and that person would want to be brought into their unit to share love with them. And so then, they would begin to bring others into their unit. This is, polygyny and polyandry. Okay, fast forward to now. Fast forward to modern times. Is it possible to have a successful polygynous or polyandrous unit in 2012? Of course it is possible. There are matriarchal societies, and you can Google them all over the world, that still continue to practice polyandry, where the women still continue to have more than one husband. There are societies all over the world, both matriarchal and patriarchal, where the men continue to have more than one wife. And those societies are, moving forward just as successfully as societies which claim monogamy. So, is it possible? Of course it's possible. Is it possible within the context of the United States? If you have the entire cultural structure in place that will support it, then yes, of course it's possible. Can you, outside of that cultural structure, maintain that relationship successfully? Come away from there. That's not a place to play. Come away from there. Outside of your cultural structure, you cannot maintain any relationship successfully. So a polyandrous or a polygynous relationship is no different from a monogamous relationship. Outside of your cultural structure, it's all going to crumble. And that's what we see happening. Monogamy is not making any big leaps and steps forward any more so than, poly is. So outside of a cultural structure, none of it works. So yes, within your cultural structure, of course that's possible. And of course it's good. And of course it's positive. Nubia Lalita. I said to come away from there. That is not a place to play. Okay. Take the track into my room, or take the track into your room. Nubia, take the train tracks into my room or your room, please. Okay, go ahead. That's fine. Can you help her, Kamari? Can you help her, Kamari? All right. Thank you. So that is the truth of that matter. And this has to be said just because I see it happening so frequently. The first thing is that in true polygyny, the man is married to all of the women. From an ancient perspective, when a man marries women, and you can research this, Part of the reason that he is marrying them is to provide them with financial resources. In ancient times, women did not marry men that could not support them financially, because women did not necessarily interact in that realm. That was a masculine realm. It was created by masculinity for masculine purposes. I myself, this is why I don't consider myself a feminist, because I have no desire to interact in that realm. I don't have any desire to do that. I want to interact in the realm that is for me, that I created in ancient times for myself, and that makes sense to me, and that seems necessary to me, because outside of that, none of that other stuff seems necessary. It seems ridiculous to me. But that's me. So in ancient times, women interacted within the political realm, they interacted within the familial realm, they interacted within the marketplace. So they weren't necessarily in these other spaces and places because they did not want to be. So the man was there to provide her with the financial resources that she needed in order to set herself up in the marketplace. This was part of what it meant to be a husband in ancient times. So if you are practicing polygyny and you're saying that you're doing it because it's an ancient African thing, this is one of the pieces of it that has to be in place. You are not practicing polygyny if you have a bunch of women working or on public assistance and they are bringing the money to you. You are not a polygamous African or a polygynous African. You are a pimp. That is what you are. And those are two totally and completely different things. So if that's what you're doing, if you're pimping women and taking their money either from jobs or from public assistance, then you need to say that's what you're doing. Don't call yourself a polygynist or a polygamist, and don't call that polygamy, because that's not what that is. You don't have many wives. You have sisters that you're pimping out. That's what you're doing. Because to be a wife from an ancient perspective is to be one that has been brought into your family to be taken care of, so that she can then do her thing from the perspective of being taken care of. That's how that worked. And you can research it. I've done the research. You can research it yourself. So that's not what polygamy is. That's not what polygyny is. Polygyny is not a man who, because of his own insecurities with his physical appearance or with his sexual prowess, who has to have sex with every woman that he sees and every woman that he's attracted to. That is not polygyny either. That is a mental illness, and it is a form of abuse. To have women in relationships and to make them think that the relationship is secure and stable, when in actuality you are not mentally strong enough to keep a security and a stability around your home, is abuse. You are abusing the women that you are cheating on, and they feel abused. So a man who is unable to maintain a security and a stability in his relationships, and who has to go out and have sex with any woman that he's attracted to and who is attracted to him, is not a polygamist, is not a polygynist. He is suffering from a mental illness, and he needs to fix that. He may be able to be a polygynist sometime in his future, but not until that problem is fixed. If he cannot commit to one person, then how could he possibly commit to more than one? But polygyny is not a system that was set up because men were unable to commit. No one in ancient times had that low of a view of men, that they don't have enough sense to control their penis, and so we won't expect them to control it. Nobody had that low of a view of men. Everybody expected men to control their sexuality, just like everybody expected women to control their sexuality. That was just a natural, normal expectation. Just because you have feet doesn't mean that you go and put your feet on everybody that you see. So just because you have a vagina doesn't mean that you go and rest that on every penis that you see. Just because you have a penis doesn't mean that you go and place that inside every vagina that you see. It is an ignorant concept. It doesn't make any sense. So nobody in ancient times was saying it's just the nature of a man to go out there and try to put his penis in every vagina. It is not the nature of a man. It is what the slave master did to your ancestors so that he could make sure that he had enough chattel. And when you continue to perpetuate that and try to claim that it is an African lifestyle, you are committing ancestral treason. It is not African to go out and see how many women you can have sex with and how many babies that you can produce that you're not able to take care of. That's not African. That is a slavery-induced mental illness. It is a mentality that was placed upon you by people who saw you as cattle, by people who saw you as a goat or a sheep or something else that they were trying to breed. And by continuing in that mentality, you are assisting them. That's what you're doing. And you are committing ancestral treason. And you are an effrontery to all things African. And you will suffer the repercussions of trying to pretend that your own illness is something that is intrinsically African, something within you that you can't help. Ashe Tunwa, please close the door. Thank you. You'll suffer the repercussions of that. So those are my views on it. I don't have any problem with them as lifestyles. I am not at the point in my life where I have the structure where it would be something that I would be able to do. But within the total and complete structure of that society, of course it is good. Of course it is correct. Of course it is what you should be doing if it is within your cultural structure. Outside of that, it's not going to work. It does not work. And if people are walking through it and forcing it to work, it's still not working. If everybody is not healthy and happy and whole, it's not working. If anything that makes you feel oppressed is not something that you're supposed to be doing. So it is not a system that was set into place to oppress women because women are supposed to be oppressed. So if you as a woman are accepting it under the auspices that you are supposed to be oppressed because you have a vagina, then that's incorrect. And you'll suffer the repercussions of that because you know oppression when you feel it and you know you're supposed to get out from under it. If you are a man who is practicing it because you feel that women are something who were put here on this earth for you to oppress, then you will suffer the repercussions of that because you know when you're oppressing someone and you know that you need to stop. So there are beautiful, wonderful systems of life. There are beautiful, wonderful ways of loving. Love is abundant. Love is full. Love is omniabundant, just like the universe herself. There is enough love for everybody. Any woman has the ability to love many men and to love them well and to love them fully and to love them totally and completely. Any man has the ability to love many women and to love them well and to love them fully and totally and completely. And no one has the right to tell them that it's wrong to do that. I do not believe that. But you have to do it within a proper societal and cultural context so that you are all supported in this action that you're taking. So those are, when I have researched it, this is the information that I've come up with. And in my research and study of African culture, this is the information that I've come up with. It is not for cheaters. It's not a system that's set up for cheaters. It's not a system that is set up for pimps. Those are not, the reasons that we ever use this system. We use the system to share in the abundance of our love, so that everyone would have the opportunity to feel a safe, secure, and stable love. And isn't that what we all want? There's nothing wrong with that. It's what we all want, and not only that, it's what we all deserve. All right, so those are my thoughts on that. Pray that your day is going well, and hope to see you soon. I am available for lectures. I'm available for spiritual consultations, and I'm available for holistic health consultations, as well as parenting or unschooling or homeschooling consultations, which I've been doing for 22 years. My Website is www.oshetura, OSHETURA, institute.com. Please look me up there if you need me. All right. Peace and love, ecstasy, abundance, and bliss to all.